I loved what you talked about Billy Strings, just, perfecting his craft, wanting to be the best, but he's collaborating all the time, right? All the time with other artists. So how do you take some of that mentality back to like the business, about like that creativity, that curiosity, that partnership,
Well, I think it's super cool because real recognizes real.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think that's what we're doing here.
Welcome to Building Smarter Projects, a podcast dedicated to the ever-changing world of construction and technology. I'm your host today, Brad Birck, and I am very excited to have a partner in the industry, Brian Stamper. He is a managing partner at Advantic Building Group, really cool company doing different things, and we're happy to be partnered with them. So, Brian, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
We've worked around each other for 20 years, but never knew each other really.
It's pretty wild when you think of it. Like whenever, we've seen each other,
right?
But we didn't know each other. We'd be at the same conferences around the country, like dating back to Kurt.
Yes.
Right, like a job I had not long out of college.
Yeah.
And you would be there selling your services with the clients that I was trying to learn from.
Yeah.
It was a really interesting. That to me is super. And then Aaron, same thing.
Right.
Like knowing Aaron from the Construction User Roundtable before I was at Advantic, so it's really interesting. But going back to Kurt though, it's the reason you guys were members at that time was because you were trying to make a difference.
Yeah.
Right? You were trying to get involved with committees that were truly trying to make change in the industry.
And back then it was a lot around, of course, safety, which is still paramount in everything we do, and also around workforce development, which is again everything we're talking about.
Still in that.
Yeah. And that's really, I think it's interesting how we're sitting here today doing a podcast together. But as you talk about that history and shared kind of values from the company's perspective, but then you just called Aaron for coffee.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, we're sharing and we're coming together and we're making up new products for the market. And
that was really fun because I've known Aaron since before Enerfab, but just for a long time. He was a client of mine in the past, and I just really liked the guy. He was always super genuine. And being in sales like you are and like I am, you can tell genuine.
Yeah.
Right? You can tell that CPCS, or you guys call the good guys.
Yep.
And I always felt that from him. So
people don't know what I know what CPCS is. What's CPCS?
Yeah, CPCS. Well, there's a story to it. That story is whenever we were starting the organization, we were sitting down at a bar and just kind of talking about who we wanted to be when we grew up, right? And Brad, who was the founder of the company, he said, you know what? I just want to work with cool people and build cool shit. And so we're like, my marketing brain instantaneously, or it might have been Foley's, because both him and I, we fire on similar things. Like CPCS, that's cool. We should build our foundation off of that. Right? So what does that mean?
Yeah.
It's probably very similar to your good guys thought. It's very similar to your good guys, but it's, hey, if you work with people that you like and you can trust, you can do anything.
Right.
It doesn't matter, because what does that mean? If you like and you can trust them, you have a similar goal, you have a similar purpose that they're buying into, right? So they're a part of the solution. And then that goes internal and external. Yeah. It's the same thing whenever we think about what clients we want to work with, are the ones that are similar, right? They have a goal that we can help achieve, that we can fit into their model that we agree with, right? Like it goes back to everything I learned early in my career by sitting in those construction user roundtable conversations. Is everybody has a problem, and if you work together, you can solve it really well. I don't have all the knowledge, but I have some knowledge that adds to it.
And there's too many in this industry that, and maybe not as much today with the way the market is, but that want to butt heads, that want to solutions aren't in a little box all the time. I mean, we're working in high-powered environments with changes and things happening all the time. So it's not linear as much as we want it to be. We put the planning in, we make it as foolproof as possible, but it's construction. So by nature, you're going to have things come up, and it's how you adapt to those, how you work as a team versus fighting each other and, pitting against each other. And we all have that T-shirt. So that's why we talk about, we want to work with the good guys. We've worked with the bad guys. We don't need that T-shirt. We want to work with people that are like-minded, that want to get projects done, because your cheapest project is when you're partnered from the beginning and you have a common goal, to your point.
Yeah, well, as you were talking, so many thoughts bounced through my head, because that's awesome, because that's the same way we feel.
Yeah.
Right? And like that mentality is what keeps this industry moving forward. I think back to college a lot, like just because I was studying construction.
Right? Oh, that's because the Bearcats are like awesome at football this year.
And that it's actually very similar, because we were good back then too.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, oh, well, we're back. But within that was like the only real presentations I remember from college were the ones of people coming in and talking about how to change the industry.
Yeah.
Like that's the only ones I remember. And like I remember Victaulic, like they were just starting. Like they came in and they're like, hey, we think this is going to be something big, and it made a lot of sense, right? And I'm not even in that world, but it was a solution based on a demand,
right?
A need. The market needed it because we didn't have enough welders, we didn't have all of this. Yes, we still need welders, we still need those, and they're going to be utilized a lot. But there's a lot of things that they don't need to be utilized for. And I was like, that's logical. That's 1 + 1 = a lot more.
Well,
right?
Yeah, and I think that's like what we're looking at today. I mean, right? I mean, there's so often solutions, again, we're linear. It's like, okay, this needs to be steel. This needs to be welded. This needs to be plastic. This should be FRP. And what we always talk about is like, well, what's the right solution for the customer?
That's right.
There's a busy market, and so building the whole thing out of steel maybe doesn't make sense for a lot of reasons. Weight. Getting into an existing building, different things like that. Your ceilings don't have the proper structure for it. So, and then similar when you talk about a Victaulic or a ProPress or any of those products on the market, instead of saying that you can't use them, it's, well, how do you utilize them in a way? And it doesn't mean that you don't, to your point, you don't have welders anymore, because part of that system probably should be welded,
right?
And should be stainless. Other parts of it can be ProPress. So instead of taking a one side, like, this is how we're doing it, it's like, okay, how do we use FRP? How do we use steel maybe for the base, for the structure? How do you use a unistrut for cable trays? How do you use Victaulic and Aquatherm and our stainless pipe all together to, at the end of the day, deliver what the customer needs quicker, faster, a better option?
The best solution.
The best solution.
And that thought process, as you're that is the mentality. And if you're doing it with people you like and you can trust, and you know that we have a common goal that you're driving to achieve, you'll get there. Yep. You'll get there because that relationship is real, right? It's not transactional.
Sure.
And both groups are invested in the solution, or multiple.
Absolutely.
So, like, I remember in college as well, they were talking about IPD, right? Like
integrated project delivery.
Yes, and I was like, there's so much good to that, right? There's so much. Why? Because at the end of the day, you have all the major parties sitting in a room trying to figure out what the best way to build that is.
That's exactly right.
Like that's how every single job should be. And like, you put your egos to the side and you say, hey, this is what we offer because we're damn good at this.
Yep.
I'm not getting outside of my swim lane. We're going to jump into this and we're going to figure out how to build this. And then at the end of the day, we all win together. Everybody is going to be pumped about that job because you are there. I hate sales. I've been in sales my entire career.
And you hate it.
I don't, it's not sales. Like, I like delivering solutions.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, I don't want to sell you on this. I want to work with you on this to come up with the right solution.
I want to provide you the information that you realize this is the right solution.
Yeah.
Not, hey, you should buy this because of me.
Yeah.
Or
Well, and I always think about it too. Like, so we just promoted Mike Molcheski, which you met him, and I love it because he's a young kid and he's excited, and he's like, well, I don't know how to sell, and I go, well, what do you love about Advantic? Like, when you think you want to go into sales for us, I said, what do you love about us? Like, what do you know that we do the best? Like, what is it? What about you? Like, what do we do? And we talk about those things like that you've witnessed, right? And that's it. That's all sales are. Like, it's not real. It's not like you're selling somebody on something. You're saying, hey, I'm providing a solution that I actually saw the value, and this is why.
Yeah.
That's not sales.
It's fascinating. I was actually just talking about this the other day with somebody, and that's why it's always been so easy for me here at Enerfab, because I truly believe in what we do and our people, and it makes it easy. To your point, you're not selling. You're explaining, or you're introducing. You're collaborating. You're looking for solutions, and you talked about it early on. But being curious is how we've always been a better partner to our customers. It's finding that better solution. It's a different way of looking. Okay, so we've done the same job 3 times a certain way. Is that the best way, or do you bring the team back together and you kind of get in a room and you kind of, I don't want to say fight, but you kind of beat each other up on a better plan, and you come out with a better solution? And if we can do that with partners too, because the only way you can have a really great meeting where you're kind of beating each other up, and it's not beating up, it's getting to the best ideas. You got to trust. You got to be able to collaborate. You got to leave that room and then say, like, hey, that was an awesome meeting, man. We got to such a better place.
Violently agree.
Yeah, maybe.
We had this board meeting, right? Or not a board meeting, executive offsite one time. And this made me think of it. Like what's awesome, one of our permissions of play, that's it, to get hired at Advantic, you have to be authentic, right? Like, I don't want you wearing a shield up. I don't want you trying to be somebody else. I don't want you trying to impress me. I want you to drive value to our organization, right? Like that. So that's a big expectation. Like, I want you to disagree with me if you disagree with me, right? I want you to disagree with someone else, but you can do it the right way. There's ways to do that. Well, this one day we were in Pennsylvania on this offsite, and this is, times were crazy back early days when you're trying to disrupt the market, and we all were just really, really passionate and like very, very loud. A few cocktails in and talking, and I was like, I don't know if I said it or fully said it, like, all the time. Like, one of us said it, like, we're just violently agreeing right now because we're all so passionate and we're all like,
we're saying the same thing.
We're saying the same thing. I think and it's just that. But what's so amazing about that is there's nobody's wearing armor, right? They're willing to come to the meeting with their authentic self and say, I want to drive a solution here, and I trust you, you trust me, and you get so excited, the room erupts. It's just that energy shift. It's so fun. Like, that to me is one of the best things about business. I love that.
Yeah, that's exciting. One of the things that I've been excited about, even like with our team, as you talk about change and new ideas and things like that, and being adaptive, is, as we've introduced some of this, what you guys do into our business, and the way that people say, yeah, I get it. Okay, that makes sense. Like, okay, this is a better solution for this situation or for this particular application, or I see the vision of like how we could make a better product. And so it's fun when the teams start to just collaborate and talk. And now, like, Mike's calling your guys on his own and like, hey, I had this idea, and
I love that.
Do you think this will work? And
that part's super fun because what's super cool about
we just have to get the hell out of the way.
But that is almost all the time.
Right.
Like, I keep telling myself that. Because we have the smartest people, right? And they're all super passionate because we wouldn't have hired them if they weren't. Right? They have an interest in what we're doing. And we vet, like, and they're fitting the culture. Like, everything in our organization is, are you fitting that culture, right? And are you living those values? And those values are 3 for us. There's 3. It's ownership. That's own your shit. Own it, right? Like, own what you're doing at the organization. Camaraderie, work with your team, right? Like, and a lot of times within ownership, you can't do it all on your own. Yep. It's a team thing, right? So you have to be willing to put your ego aside and work with the team. And then the third one is curiosity. So we already talked about curiosity. But those 3 things, if you do that every single day, you own your shit, you work with your team, and you're curious about how to make things better.
Wow, powerful.
It's simple.
Yeah,
super
it's
simple.
Simple, but
it's
powerful.
Super simple. But you can boil everything is actually, I believe everything's, nothing is easy, but everything is simple.
Yeah.
And that's not, one of my good friends, Rob Coyle, he said that once, and I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, that's true. Yeah. Everything is simple. Nothing is easy. But you got to slow down to be able to see.
Break it into parts.
And that's construction too.
Right. So we drove right in, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I had a bunch of notes. Who gives a crap? I was throwing those out to the window. But at the end of the day, maybe tell us a little bit about like who Advantic is, what you guys do, how do you deliver to the market, what makes you different? Why are we working together?
So Advantic, I'll tell a little bit of the story. So I was actually, myself and Jim Foley, one of my business partners, we were the first client of Advantic. Oh. And so I was, my career, I've been very fortunate to have just great mentors, right? And like people that took chances on me. Mm-hmm. And early on, one of my colleagues, Jim Danis, we worked together, and years later, I didn't work with him in a long time. He's like, hey, I think you need to meet this guy. He started a company in Dayton. It's called Advantic. They were in a class together, 40 under 40 Dayton, and he said, hey, I think you need to meet him. They've got a product that they're trying to take to market, and I was working for an industrial contractor at the time, and we did a lot of fab and things of that nature. And so I went and met with him, and we were talking, and he brought up FRP, fiber reinforced polymers. And I had heard of FRP, but it was mostly back from my hospital days where you'd run FRP down the walls to keep them from getting like damaged, right? So it was a different type of FRP. I didn't really know it from a structural side. Yeah. So I knew it from the architectural side dating back to early in my career. And I was like, but then he kept talking, and I was like, oh yeah, I've seen that FRP grading before. Yeah, okay. And so he kept talking. I didn't get an FRP manual in college, right? In engineering school, we got a steel manual. So like it's kind of engraved in my brain that steel was the way to go.
Yeah.
That was, and
wouldn't you say in the industry as a whole?
You get a steel manual in college.
Fair enough.
Right? So you're in engineering school, you get a steel manual. That is the standard. Yeah. And so it's a big old book, and I still have it. Don't use it, but I still have it. So I met, and he was talking about the product, and he was telling me, hey, it's 80% lighter. It doesn't corrode. And he was telling me about a lot about the science of the product, but I always put my sales hat on really quick. Clients care about two things. Two real things that you can sell. And that is, can you save me money or can you save me time? Right? Those are two things that are very simple to sell.
Sure.
Right? That make something scalable. Can you make this faster? Can I deliver, your modularization, things of that nature? Can I get this to them quicker? People will buy that. Or can I save them time and money? Yeah, they'll buy that as well. So I said, so how much does the product cost? And he's like, well, a stick of it is more expensive than steel. And he just didn't know, right? He didn't know. I said, well, I don't really care about the product cost. I care about how much is it going to cost at the end of the day? If it's 80% lighter, I should get really good productivity. Mm-hmm. So we had a job at a fats plant, and it was an industrial project. They had to put there was a tank that needed a bunch of new infill around it so they could put another tank on top of it. And we had the contract to do all the piping and to set the tank, and it was a 2-week outage at this plant. And there was it was in the corner of the building with no access. And so our plan was to blow the side of the building up, blow the side of the building out, fish steel beams in, and put those beams in place, and we had a 2-week outage to do so. And so I went to our VP of engineering at the company I was with, and I said, hey, do you think we could maybe look at another material? He's like, this could really help us because of our time, and we don't have to blow the side of the building out. So we did
because you could pick it up.
Because we could pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were able to skate the beams through the plant and put them into place. Well, we start seeing all these other values come into place as well. I didn't need hot work permits because they were bolted connections and things of that nature. We did the job that we had 14 days to do. Mm-hmm. We did it in 5 days, straight time. And I had a big light bulb go off. I was like, I can sell this. This adds a lot of value.
This makes sense.
It clicked super quick for me. Yeah. And all of a sudden, when something makes sense and you can kind of see it throughout your whole life, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? So
you start looking at all the applications.
Yeah, that 100%. I was like, oh, that would have worked great here. That would have worked great there. And it just all started clicking. And I had 3 clients that were very difficult clients to change their specs. I was like, I'm just curious. I'm going to give them a call and see if they'd be interested. So I called all 3 of them, and they all were like, yeah, I would love to learn more. I was like, so it substantiated a market pretty quick for me.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Advantic, and we wanted to be the sales side of their company. We said, we'll be a sales company for you, me and Jim. And we'll be the sales side, and we'll do your installs. My dad's a carpenter. I was like, this is a great carpentry trade. Things that it's light, so we could find a workforce, and we'll be your installer. And they said, well, why don't you come on board and join the company? Fast forward, we saw the value. Fast forward to 2021, me, Jim, and Jeff purchased the company, and it's been a really fun journey.
But when you first got it started and you started to see the value from that first project, you're an industrial contractor, you're the first customer, you see the value. You don't know anything about data centers at that point.
No.
Because, I think it's an interesting story. You went in the chemical industry with maybe some of the, resistance and different things that you would think about FRP, but then you, again, saw an opportunity in a new market, and now you're.
What's really funny, I didn't see the opportunity.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
You weren't the genius.
No, there was no genius to it. It was the universe. It just fell in our laps. It was crazy. So we were selling in those corrosive environments, right?
Yeah.
We were selling because it doesn't corrode, and that value prop. I was all over the Gulf Shores early days.
Sure.
I had contacts in that area, right? And there's a lot of corrosion issues. And so we were down I was at industrial plants every week, just talking to anybody that would talk to us off that value prop. Well, our marketing on LinkedIn got us into the data center market. We had a post where we were talking about speed of installation, saving a client money, right? And I think it was a video of people carrying. It was a video of people carrying OSHA guardrail on their shoulders to show the lightweight, and we were loading a truck one by one, like we were talking about the lightweight. Well, I get a phone call, or actually, I think I got a LinkedIn message. I have to go back and actually substantiate that, but I get a LinkedIn message, and someone that I knew really well, and we actually never really talked business because I knew he was in data centers, but didn't.
Because your mindset's still corrosive.
Yeah, it was all of that corrosive.
You're thinking,
thought
okay,
process.
I got to sell something in a corrosive environment. Because data center doesn't jump off the
Well,
list
it was
there.
2018, and what happened in 2018? The first round of steel tariffs went into place. And so April 2018, I get the phone call, and they had a busted budget. So their GMP now was busted because steel prices went up, and nobody knew what it was going to do to the market. So a lot of people threw a lot of money at it, saying, hey, we got to protect ourselves. Makes a lot of sense, right? Well, so it was just circumstance, right? So it was a job in Texas, Carrollton, Texas, and the project is the same stuff we build today. The very first project we did is 100% the stuff that is still being implemented, and it's kind of crazy because we've done a lot of different stuff for data centers, but that very first job, if I look at it, it was generator platforms, it was access platforms, it was floor-mounted supports running down the corridor because the roof didn't have any weight, couldn't handle the capacity of putting all the, and back then it wasn't direct-to-chip cooling, it was all the power. So it was the power runs running down the corridors.
So the cables themselves were just too heavy be supported on the roofs because they didn't design the roofs for that when they.
Well, and this was a retrofit too.
Okay.
This was a retrofit. And we did a lot of retrofit work early days. And so the very first job we did, I get a call on that Friday. So he gave us 2 days to bid the job. And on that Friday, he calls me. He's like, your number's wrong. And I said, well, that's your fault. You only gave us 2 days to bid it. So he goes, you're 50% less than steel. And I go, our number's wrong. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And that was by circumstance, right? That's because the tariffs just went into place, all that stuff. But he goes, all right. I said, I had to pull my number. I was like, I can't risk this large of a project this early on if we're 50% cheaper. I didn't believe it, right? I thought I missed something. So he said, well, he goes, the GMP is due Monday morning at 9 Central. I remember this like it was yesterday. And he said, if you just look at your number over the weekend, if you need to add something to it, if you feel, because I was ready to pull my number.
Right.
And he's like, just look at it. And so we did. We dug into it. And I was like, the number's right. It's the right number. Let's send it. So we sent it. And that was the foundation of what we do. And those relationships from that very first project are the same people I'm working with today at so many different companies.
Wow.
It is crazy. The general contractor, the VP that was, or the project executive that was on that, is now working for one of the largest companies in data centers and runs all of their construction globally. The guy who was running business development and procurement for that same contractor is now working as a senior vice president at that organization. And it's just such a small world.
Yeah.
And it was such a blessing for our organization to be put in this opportunity with really the people who are revolutionizing the space today. And there's a lot of them. The guy who was the director of construction, now is a global name in data centers, and like the people that were doing design, same thing. And it was a gift. I mean, in reality, like that was a gift to us, and we performed. And I talked to all of those people regularly. That superintendent that was on that job is my favorite superintendent still to this day. And he calls me on a regular basis.
Right place at the right time.
Yeah, and that's where we build our core, right? That was that CPCS culture. We invested in those relationships, and that's what we try to do along the way.
Yeah.
That job forever, I will remember so many details.
What I took out of that is that you have to have really good marketing, and it pays off. No.
What was really funny about that, it was an iPhone video and a quick LinkedIn post, and it worked.
Timing was right.
It was
perfect
timing.
It was fascinating how, it's not luck per se, but, so much in life is, being in the right place at the right time. But also you had to take advantage of that opportunity. You could have easily been like, I'm not working on that in 2 days. Yeah. I'm going out of town for the weekend. I'm going to go do whatever. I'm not going to spend time on this. I don't see value in this. But no, you didn't. You took the opportunity, and it opened up where you guys are today.
It's kind of crazy, like when you think about that, right? As you said that, it's like always keep taking steps.
Yeah.
Like always keep taking steps forward. I mean, and that is like, so Foley and I mean, we had some dark times at Advantic, right? We grew really, really, really fast. Really, really, really fast. You had a ton of issues in the marketplace, right? Like our products made up 2 things, glass and resin. Well, do you guys remember the deep freeze in Texas?
Oh, yeah.
That was all our resin, right? Like, so all of a sudden supply chain constraints, and I just sold how many projects?
Yikes.
Oh, wow, that's fun, right? Like, and then then right after that was COVID.
Right.
That's fun. And then what did COVID do? It destroyed the supply chain to data centers. So we kept growing in this, and we just kept getting, it was like one thing to the next that just, we just kept learning.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember at one time I looked at Foley and Nielsen, my 2 partners, and I said, I feel like we're making a month's worth of decisions every single day.
Wow.
And what was crazy was that was this aha moment for us of, we have so many smart people working in this organization that can help us, right? Like, we have 3 smart people. The 3 of us, we're smart, but we have a lot of really smart people in this organization. Let's get them start collaborating.
Right.
So we started the Lessons Learned Committee right at that point. Like, you remember, and I know you're this way too, because like there's like timestamps in your career, things
you go back. Okay,
that was a good move.
Yeah, exactly.
You remember the ones that you hit home runs with, right?
Sure.
And so we started the Lessons Learned Committee, and what that did was it broke down those walls, and where engineering, and we have a leader from each group every week. I mean, every single week they meet and they talk about how do we keep improving the industry or our own company.
Right.
Right. So, and we actually bring in partners, external partners as well. How do we better ourselves? And it started off, it would be hot, right? Engineers, they felt like they were being attacked by project management, right? Manufacturing thought they were being attacked by, whatever. Somebody always felt attacked. I was like, guys, no. Let's celebrate this. Let's say that we're all sitting in this room together, and that became that. And it went from lessons learned to continuous improvement, because we were getting like every day like something like, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem. Well, then all of a sudden we stopped getting those emails, and we're like, well, what can we work on? And there still are those emails, but they weren't as at the fast pace they were in the beginning.
Right.
It's probably similar to your QC story, right? Like, and quality control, early days of implementing the stuff you guys did in your shop.
Oh, yeah.
Like, those, it's never perfect in the beginning, but like.
Are you talking about how we went paperless and
Yeah,
some
all
of
of
that stuff?
that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. First, whenever you're changing a process,
Yeah.
or the way people have done it for a long time, you do meet some resistance. But I think it's all in that delivery. And again, if you have a team that believes in what you're trying to do, they get on board. And as soon as they see the value, they're all behind it. But yeah, anytime you do a change, I mean, that's a big part of rolling out new technology or anything is, how do you do it right to make sure that the organization sees the value and they're on board, because at the end of the day, we can invent a lot of stuff or do different things. If it doesn't improve what they're doing or it doesn't help the customer, it really doesn't matter. I mean, we don't do tech just to be techie.
Right.
We do tech to improve process, to increase productivity, to improve safety, and have better quality.
Well, if you're going to invest it, if you're going to put the money into it, you better get the full value out of it too.
That's right. Yeah. Well, a lot of stuff going on in the market and different things. Now, how we got together really is, as this data center boom continues to go and we're seeing so much demand, and it's like, okay, how do we deliver for these customers? How do we think differently as this market goes to direct to chip cooling? What's the solution that they need? And you did a great job on the front end partnering with people and knowing where this thing was going. And I think we're lucky to have known you at the right time, at the right place, to be able to kind of bring some of what we have. And again, we're not opposed to, we love new ideas and how to think smarter. And we have the whole tagline, building smarter projects. And to me, this fits exactly into that whole mantra of like, how do we build smarter projects? You're OG in the data centers, all 7 and 8 years, whatever, we're new kids on the block. We're new kids on the block, and we're seeing a real niche in there. And again, it's about delivering solutions. They're moving so fast and they have so much demand. It's an all the above type approach. So where can you bring value in that stream to get their data center online faster, to bring a solution that they haven't thought of yet?
Well, I think it was really cool. So like when I was sitting down talking to Aaron, just catching up on life and like hearing what you guys were working on, and that and I've always known Enerfab as a really quality contractor, right? Like I've known that my whole career, my entire career. That is the word on the street. Like I remember my Kurt days, like hearing the power companies talk about you guys, and like in the workforce development and the safety. I remember that stuff because I'm like, oh, they actually give a shit. They actually are here for these solutions. There was quite a few contractors that I would talk to today based on those conversations, because they put people in the room that were trying to make the industry better. Yeah. So in my head, I always had that, like, I had a good thought of Enerfab. Never did a lot of work with you guys. It was always side by side, or maybe a small project here and there for like a Cargill or something of that nature.
Again, back to the corrosive environment when you were thinking that way.
Yeah. So and so we were sitting, and I didn't realize you guys were getting into the data center space, right? And so we were just talking about it because that's all we do, right? And so we were just talking, but we talked a little bit about that, right? We talked a little bit about that, and I just remember Aaron talking about his passion about the people, and that's one of our biggest passions.
Culture, building the right groups.
And so I had a couple data points in my head, right? I knew he was a really good quality contractor, one that really invested in their workforce, that cared about providing good solutions to the marketplace. And I'm seeing a lot of jobs that need that, right? A lot of industry needs those types of companies. And so I love the data center market because it's changing so much that you need companies that are willing to be adaptable to the marketplace. So I was explaining what we were doing at Advantic and things that I was excited about. Yeah. And one of those things was where our worlds collide is with direct chip cooling, there's a ton of pipe, right? A ton of pipe that is going to be ran, and it's got to be supported. Right. And so for us, going back to that very first project that we did, we ran a tons and tons of corridor supports. And I was like, with direct chip cooling, those are coming back hot. They're hot again, right? Yeah. They're hot again. And I was like, well, we should be talking to companies like you guys, right? And that and then that's how you came up. you came up to the shop and we started talking, and it just was like fireworks. Like, what else can we do?
Right.
Like
I remember that Aaron came back from coffee and he's like, I know we've talked about Brian and Advantic. He's like, I really think you need to go meet with them. There's something there that we need to figure out.
And that curiosity got us to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Which was super fun. And those conversations are still in their infancy. But that's what keeps us going, is like finding things that, hey, when we work together, and we got one opportunity that we're working on right now together that I think will actually revolutionize data centers. I can't wait to be able to talk about it.
I know,
right? Like it's one of those things where, like, by the first of the year, it's going to be all over the place. But that's freaking cool, right? Like with direct-to-chip cooling, where it's going with your guys' skill sets and pipe, ours on the structural side, how that partnership can actually really, really start to revolutionize that space.
Yes.
There's a ton of mixed trade racking that needs to be built. We want to build that. Your guys are part of that mixed trade, right? Like, so let's partner and go all the way through the board. Who are those other companies that we can fast track these jobs and come up with solutions that are integrated together?
Well,
like,
and
there's so much that we can do there.
The other part of that is not just delivering that like solution that makes sense, but also just that supply chain. So as it gets busier and busier and busier, you quickly realize that you can't do it by yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
And so if you can connect the right partners together where you can kind of build that supply chain internally. So, you have 1,000 parts at your spot. We got them at ours. Our other partner has them. And so then you have it just in time to where you're assembling them and getting them out to the data center. So you don't have to hold all that at your one place or our one, by working together and coordinating this supply chain kind of movement together, we can maximize and do 3-4 times as much as we could alone.
Absolutely.
And that's what the industry needs right now.
Yeah, absolutely. In those true partnerships. And then it's that collaboration and then standardization along the way. Right. So how do you standardize to make it? And so one of the things, our big shift, right, we are building even in data centers, a lot of our jobs are super custom.
Yeah.
Right. So, when you're scaling super fast, that's really difficult.
Right.
So we went down that standardization process of our organization and saying, what all can we standardize so that way we don't have bottlenecks, right? So all of our clip angles became standard, right? Like, and then there's many, many things, right? All your brackets, angles, and plate, that can all be standard. We can have certain connection, only utilizing like a handful of connection details, right? Standardizing those. And in that standardization, I think we can take that same model and blow that out across the board. But what does that do, right? Like, if you start to really truly standardize things, or we call it pre-engineered standards, right? Because nothing's actually the exact same.
Right, yeah.
Right? Like, so, but you build flexibility into the design.
But you start with this base so you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time.
So our first thing that we standardized was a generator platform. Mm-hmm. Very simple, right? You're building a deck for a generator at the end of the day. It's cool, but it was a really good place to start.
Yeah.
Because I can say, all right, my engineering brain can say that our dimensions are going to be between X and Y all the time. It's never going to be taller than this. We haven't seen that, and we've built thousands of them. It's never going to be shorter than this because that just doesn't work.
Yep. It wouldn't be a platform if it was.
Yeah, exactly. It's on the ground. You just step out. And then, your widths, right? So you have these parameters that you can build within. So that's where the Advantic modular platform came to life. Yep. What did that do? That allowed us to get through engineering design super quick because I have all these parameters. Well, then we started looking at that. Let's do that for a lot more stuff, right? And that's exactly where we're going to be able to play really well together. Absolutely. Is coming up with those kinds of solutions.
Yeah, and you're seeing it across the market. I mean, I think today I saw an article from NVIDIA. They put out the playbook on, how to basically build the data center. I don't know if you saw that, but they're even put the playbook out from their level. Like, hey, we want to. These chips are coming. This is how they're going to work. And
here's the lessons that have been learned.
Here's the playbook. And I thought about that because I was like, man, I bet there were a couple like co-locators or hyperscalers that were like, hey, hold up, but because they're putting the playbook, and then you realize, wait, just like we're talking about, they're not competing. We're all working together. Like,
open sourcing the model.
Yeah, let's figure it out. How do we get to speed to market? We need it.
Well, so you have like the Open Compute project, right? Like that's their whole thought process is like, how do we standardize? Because the demand's there. Yeah. Right? Like, and that's really cool.
Yeah, because we got to build a lot of these in the next 5 years,
And where does collaboration, like, The one thing that I remember going back to our Kurt, I keep bringing up Kurt, but that's kind of how this all started. And if you go really far
They're
back.
going to really love us. They're getting lots of plugs.
They are getting lots of plugs. But within that, like, the one thing I remember owners saying, we can always talk about safety because that's not a competitive edge.
Yes.
Like, safety is not, there's a lot of things that aren't competitive edges that we should be talking about. Right? Like, there's a lot of workforce, 100% should not be, it's not a you should use it for your own, but if we're trying to attract people to this industry, that's something we should all be able to collaborate
It's a collective thing that we all have to invest in and be a part of, and I think we all do that, right? I mean, that's a big thing that we're doing is like, how do we get more people interested in the trades, come into the industry? There's so much opportunity. It's not like, you know, a shovel in a hole, you know? I mean, you're using robotics. You're doing neat things. Yeah.
Well, and then now expand that. Well, within prefabrication, is there things that could become standardized that help the industry, right? Like there's conferences that we'll be talking about. How do we make things more sustainable? Like those are things that you can always collaborate on.
Rally around.
What is our rally cry going to be here? And it's to get these massive amount of projects done in a manner where it's not about competition anymore. It's about delivering. It's about delivering well.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, what is the best solution? Which is, we keep circling back to that, but that's awesome.
Yeah, and because it's not slowing down. I mean, if you go to these conferences and you listen to, you know, the Vertivs, the Schneiders, the NVIDIAs, the Googles, all the people, all the players, you know, and you see the roadmap on the chip, what's coming next and the power it's going to take and the cooling it's going to take. And I was just fascinated even last week hearing about, you know, now even the networking is needing to be cooled because it's moving so many terabytes a second through it.
Wild.
So like no one cared about cooling the network devices, you know, and that, so not only are you worried about the GPU, the CPU, now you're worried about the network devices. So think about that, like cooling and what it's going to take in the systems. And again, if you're bringing all this online quickly, you know, the standardization that's going to be required to make that work, it's just a neat place. And then we haven't even talked about the power side. So, you know, you got all this data center stuff going on, but we got the power side that's also going to need some of that standardization. And we're not seeing it there right now. I mean, some of these opportunities you look at, it feels like they called their local rep and said, we'll take 5 solar turbines, we'll take 30 Wartzilla engines. What else you got on the shelf? You know, we need 900, we need 1,000 megawatts tomorrow.
And it's bizarre. That part of the world. So when we got into data centers, a large deployment was 12 megawatts.
Right.
Like that was, and then I remember the first 100 megawatt campus like being a big deal. Like people were talking about it. Almost every job we're looking at now is like on a gigawatt campus.
At least a gigawatt,
It's crazy. Yeah. Like, so on that power side, it's massive. There's and we're seeing it. And then also the amount of power going to the rack, and then which is driving that direct to chip, which goes right back to your business.
Sure. I mean, they're trying to get to what, a megawatt to the rack? Yeah. I mean, that's insane if you think about it. What is that, 650 homes in a rack of power? I mean, when you think about it like that.
And you're looking at a typical run of how many of those, right? Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah. Knowing that technology is going to change 2.5, 4 years, you know, you're going to continue to evolve that business. So are we in an arms race? Are we in a space race? Or people keep equating it to different things?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I don't know I've heard the arms race, I've heard all that. I think it's just a really bizarre time, right? Because everybody sees the power of AI and what it can do.
Right.
And there's some of it that's speculative, but like it's obviously not too much of a level because the amount of investment going into that space, and it's a big window we've got, and I think our future is going to be super interesting. Yeah, I think when I think about that part of it, it's going to be a very interesting. The world in 10 years from now is not going to be remotely what it is today, based on what all we're building, which is crazy to think about.
Man, so what does what does it look like 10 years from now? I mean, what do you mean by that? Do you from a worker standpoint, from
what was the question? Sorry, that last part.
Like from a worker standpoint, what's going to be so different 10 years from now?
Well, I don't know. I don't have that crystal ball.
Okay.
But
I just didn't know if you had some insight.
I have a lot of speculation, right? Like I like to think about it. Yeah. I don't know what it will be, and because it can go so many different ways.
Well,
right?
I just think of all the data that is, you know, everyone's easy to think about the cloud when you think about, okay, Disney and Netflix is, you know, in the cloud. That's how you watch your movie and things like that. But when you fast forward and you start to see the self-driving cars come on the market, you start to see the humanoid robots in the car plants. You see, you know, all the different things that are coming and the amount of data that's going to have to be organized. And
manufacturing is going to completely change, right? So you're going to be a lot of on-prem language models going to manufacture. You're starting to see that already. But we got to get smarter, and everything's so fast now, right? So harnessing AI to be able to trump speed, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Like that part's going to be just wild. I think the human side's going to be more and more important. At least maybe that's my internal optimist that thinks that.
I think so too.
But I think there's a big. I think authenticity is going to be a huge driver. I think that is going to be what sets apart companies is true authenticity.
I mean, I think AI is just another tool like anything else. I mean, if you're not using it, you're going to be left in the dust. But if you're using it effectively, it's not to take your job, it's to enhance your job. It makes you faster. It gives you ideas maybe you weren't thinking about, but you still got to vet those ideas.
Absolutely.
You still got to make sure they fit your culture and business. You still got to, but you're just
it's
using
taking
that
away
to shortcut some of the day-to-day dumb, like, boring.
Well, the things that I never wanted. There's a lot of things that I wouldn't want to do that it can do for me, which is going to be great.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I think that's awesome. It doesn't take away from human interaction, right? It doesn't take away from collaboration. It doesn't take, but it can aid in it, right?
Yeah.
It can
take my
aid in
meeting notes so I don't have to type them up for 35 minutes afterwards and disseminate them. You know, it can, I mean, there's so many uses. I mean, that's obviously the scratch the surface.
There's not much. I mean, that crystal ball.
So how are you using AI in your business? I asked this a lot to like the people that are building it all, and I'm fascinated to see how many don't really use AI in their own business, but they're building it.
So we actually, what's interesting about that's a great question. So we actually had a committee, and who better to put on this than co-ops?
Yeah.
So
they're learning it. They're in it.
They're in it, right? And so co-ops that come from the, different universities, engineers, they've been using it all the time already. And so we tasked them. We created like a small AI committee, and so we're in our infancy journey. Within that,
I think that's such an important first step. Like, there's so many companies out there that maybe even listening to us are just, they're like, where do I begin I keep hearing about this. I know you guys are building all this stuff. How do I begin my AI journey? Well, I think it starts with finding the curiosity, finding the people that are curious in your business, and forming that committee, and not putting restraints on them, saying, hey, bring those ideas back to the organization. Do your own research. What are you passionate about? Find a solution.
And that's, so we looked at it, some things within sales, on the reporting back mechanisms, things of that nature. Within manufacturing, not much yet, outside of the operations of manufacturing, right? There's a lot of things you can utilize AI for, right? It's a handy co-pilot, right? It's a handy tool to utilize on a regular basis, to bounce things off of. So that we use that. I mean, I use it a lot. And hey, I have a hunch, right? Like, this is something, and I can help quickly start substantiating models, and getting me it never will get me to 100%, but it gets me really fast to where I'm in the right direction. That has been incredible. Marketing has been great there, but I think those tools are just getting better. I mean, the amount of like on programming and creating tools, the amount of times that you go by our designers and things, they'll have it up asking the models questions because they can continue to learn as they're going. Well, it makes you a better, you can learn the learning side of that. If you're a continuous learner, AI is great.
Yeah. I think where we're using it a lot right now is like, how do we automate processes? So things that we're doing that either take a lot of time, that are, again, not, I don't want to say, maybe not a smart function, just necessary function, things you just got to crunch through, or a lot of manual entry that maybe happens 2 or 3 times. First off, why are we doing it 2 or 3 times? But also, when you do it that many times, you're error prone. Anytime you're re-entering, you got human error. So again, not to eliminate jobs, is to enhance those jobs so that no one wants to sit there for 3 days and enter employee numbers, and screw it up. I mean, how do we speed up that hiring process? How do we use it from an estimating and engineering perspective? How are you using it to improve the things that, I want that person spending their time and using their brain on the things that are going to, make a difference, thinking differently about the project, thinking about a better way to either get it into the building, or, hey, a different material of construction, instead of just taking a bill of material off and trying to get the material quote. That's not smart work.
Well, I completely agree with you. I think that the ways that we can harness it aren't the things that potentially humans could be spending their time. There's ways to harness that, and that it's not giving that person an individual value, but the value that they could be doing because they're based off the knowledge that they those years of life that they've had here, what they've learned. Another quote that Rob Coyle's getting a lot of airtime. So another quote that
who's Rob with?
He's with OCP. Actually.
Okay.
He had one. He said, "It's not fake it till you make it. It's learn it, then you earn it." And I think that's that made a lot of sense to me. And it kind of goes back to this is, within this world, we've learned a ton of things. So we go out there and earn it, right? Like that's any person, right? Well, within that, this is a multiplier effect within that, right? So you can utilize that to be your multiplier.
Right. Well, I know you're a big music guy, and you guys are certainly kind of beating your own drum. You're going down your own path. You got your own song going on right now. What's the best concert coming up? What are you going to go see? Anything good coming?
So, yeah, I got a couple good ones coming up. Next week, I'm going to see Tame Impala in Chicago with one of my good friends.
At what theater, do you know?
Yeah, it's at the United. So
you're at the big. Big.
So I'm really excited for that. And then big Billy Strings fan.
Yeah.
Love his authenticity, love his drive to be the best guitarist, and I love he's hands down my favorite artist.
He is probably one of the best guitarists out there.
And it's so fun to watch. So my kids don't know this yet, but early Christmas present for them, we're taking them to see Billy Strings in Louisville.
Oh, nice.
On the Friday, and then it's the first time I've talked Shannon into doing back-to-back shows, so we're going to go Saturday without the kids. So we're doing both days.
Both in Louisville?
Yeah, both in Louisville.
So
we've got some good we have 3 concerts to end the year, which is going to be fun, and you can always pick up one during the week too.
So I loved what you talked about Billy Strings, just perfecting his craft, wanting to be the best, but he's collaborating all the time, right? All the time with other artists. So how do you take some of that mentality back to the business, about that creativity, that curiosity, that partnership,
Well, I think it's super cool because real recognizes real.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's what we're doing here, right? I think that's super fun, right? When he collaborated with Brian Sutton, right?
Also one of the best guitar players.
One of the best, right? So he collaborated, but that's not the Billy String show that he typically does.
Right.
It was at the Ryman, and you weren't allowed to dance, right? So that's not a typical Billy String show. But real recognizes real, and he's like, I want this opportunity to play with one of the great. He says Brian Sutton's the greatest, right? One of the greatest. He thinks he's better than him. It's one of those cool things where they both cheer each other on.
Let's fight it out.
Yeah, there's no fighting.
The fans win.
Right,
either way.
Everybody wins, right? Well, that's kind of what we're doing here, right? I'm not comparing ours to them, but in a way is that, hey, I recognize that you guys are really good at what you do. You recognize we're good at what we do. Let's work together and see what we can do.
Right, that's a fascinating collaboration. So I was just thinking about bringing the best together for the fans and this. And so I saw Bluegrass All Stars, which was led by Bela Fleck and Sam Bush, back at Miami of Hamilton or something back in the day. One of the best concerts I've ever seen. But Brian Sutton, and you had all the best of each individual. Sam Bush on mandolin. You got Bela Fleck.
I just got cold chills.
Huh?
I just got cold chills.
Oh, you did? Yeah, but just listening to him. And then Brian Sutton comes out on the guitar, and then I forget who played the slide guitar right then. But anyways, one of the best shows I've ever been to in my life. And you just brought together people who were the best at what they did, but they saw to your point, they saw the value of being together, and they created one of the most beautiful, musical nights of anyone.
In art, there's not competition.
Yeah.
Right? There's no competition within art because they're individuals just putting the best they can out there.
Yep.
And I like to look at business that way too, right? Hey, let's keep making art.
Right.
It is because it's all from curiosity. That is art.
Right.
Right. So it's the same thing.
And their product, our product, we make lives better in some weird way, right?
Yeah, in a way, right? And that's fun. That makes it fun, right? When you think of it that way, it's hey, we've got problems that need solved. What's the best way to do that?
Let's collaborate.
It's where I always think about the two worlds colliding. It's engineering and art together is always the best solution, right? When those two things come together.
Because you got the function and the beauty,
Well, and it's not just beauty. It's function. So you have the function that it's going to work, right?
It's not going to fall down.
It's not going to fall down, right? I know numerically this is not going to fall down. but without your tribal knowledge or those experiences that you've lived in that world, right? What is art? It's an expression of the life that's been lived, or the connection, right, to life. So it's the same thing. It's past experiences. These individuals are, my dad's 45 years in the trades. All of that time, he's creating new things, right? So that's the art side of it. Hey, we've done these things. Well, now bringing all those experiences together to come up with that best solution. That is the marriage of those two worlds, right? So like my favorite artists are telling the story of their life, like through music in some sort of way. You know where they're at, right? Just by listening to their music. Well, what's the difference in business, right?
I don't know. We may have got a little lofty. You think steel fits that?
Maybe not,
I
right?
like
But
it.
Within that, I could paint a picture there.
I like it.
I could paint a picture there. Like if you're a really good iron worker, I've seen it, right? I've got friends that are in the steel space that I talk to all the time. I just talked to one today. And he loves coming up and solving problems. Yeah. Right? It's the same thing.
No, craftsmen are artists.
They are.
I mean, your best boilermaker, your best pipe fitters, their welds are art. I mean, when you look at a beautiful weld and the time they put into and the skill, I mean, anyone that's tried to weld knows it's not as easy as you just put the, put the arc in. I mean, there is a huge art to how they do that, to do that over and over again and do it perfectly. And they care so much about their craft. That it is. I mean, we talk about that. When you get a beautiful, pipe spool and you see those welds, you're like, man, that looks wonderful.
Well, and people that they're taking pride in their work.
They take pride,
art, right? Like that's art. Right? Like taking pride in what you're doing, learning from what you did in the past, coming up with creative solutions in the moment, and then also the engineering side where the numbers it all works too, right? And that's pretty cool.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for the future. It's like, we've been in this industry for 20, 25 years and doing different things. And it feels like I'm just, I don't know about you, but it feels like we're just getting started.
Well,
there's so much opportunity.
There's so much opportunity. And if we can do it with people and we can work together and come up with solutions, it becomes fun again. Yeah. It's always fun. There's been moments of fun, but I think we can even make it more fun.
We're still we're still doing big things with big customers, with big timelines. So it's still going to be challenging. But again, if you work with good people, or you cool people, cool shit, those mantras of, if you can work with good people that align with your values, you can get through anything, and you can come out on the back end having a better product. And to your point, then the next job you do together is even better.
Yeah, I remember I wrote a piece. Oh my goodness, it's been 10, 12 years ago on relational contracting for some magazine, construction magazine. I don't even remember which one it was. And what I said, and what I remember, and I still believe this to this day, is I'm okay with competing in a relational contract, right? Like I'm okay competing, but what's the worst? Like let's talk and come up with better solutions. Let's work together. Don't put us in this scenario where
this bid tabulation sheet where it's
I'm okay with competing, but I'm looking for the best solution. And if you believe me, because we have a relationship that's built on the same goals, what's the worst thing you get by leaning in? You get the same that you would otherwise. That's the worst case scenario.
Right.
That your worst case scenario is that you're going to get it. That is your worst case. What's your best case? Like, okay, your worst case is that I'm getting it the same way no matter what, like how I wanted it. That's your worst case. That's not that bad. Yeah. What's the best case? We work together to come up with better solutions. Yeah. That's cool.
Something the market's never seen.
It's infinite, right? Yeah. That model's infinite. We get creative. We can keep working on things. And that's fun. Yeah. Like that's fun. Like, so I remember that piece was well before Advantic. I wrote it, and I don't even remember why I think I was on a presentation, and I get on these soapbox, and that's one I'll die on, man. You work with people you like, and you guys come up with solutions, and you have different backgrounds. We all learn together. Mm-hmm. God, that's so much better than these fights that we have. I heard a presentation one time, and the guy said, if we built the aqueducts today, we would utilize the same construction materials. We'd do it the exact same way, all except for one thing. We would sue each other at the end. And I was like, that. He's like, that's the current state of construction. I was like, that's miserable.
Yeah.
That's miserable. Like,
Nobody
that
wants to
sounds
work
fun.
that way.
No, that resonated. Once again, that was back in my 20s.
Well, but unfortunately, we all have that T-shirt.
Yeah, we all have
working
that
with that
T-shirt.
company that's like that. And that's why we don't want to work with those companies.
And we
wanna work
all
with the
know who
good
those
guys.
companies are.
We
And
do.
like you
And they're gonna have a tough time in this
I
market
think
when
they
you
will
need to
too.
find workers. And you can be the bully in a when
down market.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's a little different when the rabbit's holding the gun.
Oh, yeah. Oh man, early days Advantic, those handshakes deals that we did that we lost money on and all that stuff. You learn the right people, and you grow, and you become a better person because of it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming out today and
This is
talking
fun.
to us. This is really great. I'm excited about the future and the partnership
Yeah.
and just the market in general. I mean, it's just, whether it's us doing it together or somebody else, I mean, there's just so much opportunity out there right now, and it's a great place. So, I mean, I guess another message I would have is like anyone that's thinking about the construction market, this is the time to get into it. This is the time to join. It's exciting. There's new tools. There's a lot of growth. This is the place to be for the next 5-10 years. And so, if you're thinking about an opportunity after school and you want to go into, I don't know, I don't want to disparage any industry that might be taken out by this AI movement, but, you got to really think about where humans still needed for connection, for growth, for building things. And this is the place to be, in my opinion, this industry.
I think that the cool thing too within it, it's never the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's always exciting. There's always
something new, and like I think that you need to find that gives you purpose too, right? Like there's always something to be working on, and that's what this is all about, right? Like that's part of human growth, always having something to strive for.
Yeah, if you want to do the exact same thing every day and stamp something out, we are not for you.
No, we're not.
If you want to come and work and be excited and have something new every day, I think anyone that works here would tell you they probably never had a dull day, and there's always something new. And that's not a negative. It's exciting. It's fun, I mean, yeah, we're going to work hard sometimes, but everything we're doing is building the future of the world. We're shaping everything we build is something that somebody uses every day to make their lives better or easier or, to get around, whatever it may be. And that's what I come back to. I think it's really cool. When you look at all the products we put out there and the people that use them, we fuel, the world at some level, that's what makes things happen. And so this data center and the AI boom and whatever comes after that, cloud computing, and then, quantum after that, I mean, roll with it.
It's a long. There's a lot of work coming.
Yeah,
and it's not going to slow down.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
I'm glad that we've hooked up and we got a lot of things going together. It's a great partnership, and we look forward to the future and where it brings us. But again, I appreciate you taking the time to come out today and to spend a little time talking with us about all kinds of cool stuff.
It's fun stuff.
It's all good. So thanks for listening to Building Smarter Projects. We'll see you next time.